Today I wanted to talk about my top 5 teacher STEM tools, and these are the things that I find myself reaching for the most. We'll make a separate video about the 5 things that I give kids the most that they like to build with, but this video is going to focus on what I think teachers should have that will just make their lives a whole lot easier. So number 5 today is going to be clear stackable bins with lids. I happen to love the Sterilite clip boxes. They come in an assortment of sizes, but what I really like about them is, number 1, that they can stack on top of one another and the various sizes will fit into one another. So this is great for in my cabinets. Because then I can have various sizes stacked together. I also love that they're clear because then I can see what's in them. And they're super useful because they have the lids. I can store them and stack things on top of them. But then when I'm going into a classroom, often if I do want them to have beads or whatever, I just take the lid off and then this is how we portion things out. Not everything works for this, but for the most part, I find these to be great. And I do have a link for Sterilite clip boxes on Amazon in the description down below. My number 4 teacher tool for doing STEM and STEAM in classrooms is what I'm calling a tape temple. And I do have to say that I don't know that I'll use this in every grade level. There's something endearing about kindergarten and first graders asking you for pieces of tape and asking them how many they want, and they'll say they need 3 or they need 2. And I love ripping off masking tape and then sticking it on the kids. They think it's hysterical, and that's very charming to me. But for those other kids, or those times, for the older kids, or those times when you're going to need lots of tape and you're not necessarily going to have the free hands, because there are some projects where I know that I'm going to be really in depth and probably helping kids with other things, I need tape ready to go. And often if I just put rolls out, kids take too much or they get it all tangled. So this year I have started using something that I'm calling my tape temples. They look a lot like this. They are simply, these I think were designed to be locker bins. They're from Dollar Tree. I don't know if I would trust them in a locker. They're kind of chintzy. I don't know what you know. They're also kind of small. It's not like a pair of shoes would fit in them. Great for little kids' cubbies, I suppose, but not super durable because I paid $1 a piece for them. But I got them originally as a way for me to distribute materials, like if I just needed to put like a table worth of supplies on a table, I could have these. But this year I discovered that they're very useful if I turn them over so that they're like Mayan temple shaped, and ahead of time I'll put pieces of masking tape on them. And with the 4 sides, and I can get like 3 rows on here, I can get a lot of masking tape on here so that it's ready to go. It's also nice because then it's very visible. I have used like the poly folders, the 2-pocket folders. I have used those for putting tape, but then those lie flat and kids put things on top of it and then they get stuck. But these tape temples are nice because, especially if you don't stack them together, which, you know, can be tempting. They do come off if you stack them together, but it's much nicer if you keep them loose. But then kids can just help themselves 2 pieces of tape and the tape comes off really easily. And before I go into a class, I maybe take 10-15 minutes to kind of cover some of these tape temples up and then put them in various places so that way students can be autonomous and just help themselves to the number of pieces of tape that they want. My number 3 favorite teacher tool that I use is my extension cord on a reel. Because I don't have a maker space that I work in, that students come to me in, I am teaching from a cart and pushing into classrooms. And our classrooms, well, our building is wonderful and we've got so many different wonderful places to take kids to learn. The traditional classrooms that we have here at school typically have like 2 outlets on every single wall. So if I'm going into a classroom and I need glue guns for a whole classroom of kids, even if they're working in pairs, I still need 8, 10 glue guns going at once. And I do find that this extension cord on a reel is amazing. It is a Bayco 25-foot extension cord reel. I really like this one. Of course, you can get extension cords and put them on your own reels, but this one is a nice low profile one. It's not like the big thick ones that you put 50 or 100 feet on. It is all built into the extension cord, where the reel is built into the extension cord, where I really quickly and easily roll this up or spread it out. It's got 4 outlets on it, and then I can hook more extension cords into it if I need. So far I've just got one, and that seems to be doing really well. Maybe in the future I'll end up with a couple of these and then put these in different places and just run the hot glue guns straight off of these. But right now I build something that I call my hot glue gun octopus with this and a couple of just basic extension cords and run. I can usually get 10 hot glue guns off of this one thing and 3 or 4 extension cords. My number 2 favorite teacher tool is actually 2 or 3 things, but it makes sense to talk about them all together. Because I am using so many recyclables and odd things for students to build with, I have found that having a really good utility knife is essential. And I do mean a really good one that I do not let the students use. This is what I affectionately call my violent teacher tool. I keep it in my pocket so that students have to ask my permission, because this bad boy will do some serious damage. And I emphasize a really good one. This one is a Husky one. I think one year we got a multi-pack and my husband was like, hey, do you want one? And I was like, yes, I want the green one. And I've had this for years. I do not recommend these utility knives with the snap-off blades for a couple of reasons. These end up getting dull really, really quickly, and nothing is more frustrating than going to cut something and it not cutting. It's also a great way of getting hurt because you'll end up using a lot more force. Also, when they do get dull, then you snap off the blades, and if I'm in a classroom, then I've got no safe place to put the little blade pieces that get snapped off. So I do have these, but I don't end up reaching for these ever, and I don't really take them into classrooms. In the past I have used these with 6th graders, but you know, I just don't see handing these to 2nd graders. They're just not that great. Now, along with my very handy dandy handle, you will want refills, and I really recommend spending the extra money to get really nice ones. I like the Lennox Gold ones. You know they're really nice because you only get like 50 of them for 20 bucks, and they then become very hard to figure out how to get out of the packaging. If they're tough to get out of the packaging, they're probably really, really sharp. But the really sharp ones last longer, and they do a much better job of cutting. So I recommend a nice blade that you can fold up, that just as a teacher you use, really good refills. And the third part of that cutting tool is I recommend getting a cutting mat. This one is a Fisker's self-healing rotary cutter. It is the 24-inch by 36-inch one. These are normally used by quilters, and they have these, you know, special clear rulers where they can cut different things. But this is great because if you do have the really good blade, trying to cut on tabletops or on your carpet, you will end up damaging things. So this just keeps your room, your classrooms a whole lot safer. And definitely I don't recommend trying to use this knife just up in the air, because very, 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 very sharp. And then my number 1 teacher tool is a willingness for us as adults to try things and to allow kids to try things. I really think where we get the most bang out of our buck in STEAM and STEM activities is just by throwing an assortment of things at kids and being like, I don't know, what do you want to use? I really Not that there's anything wrong with Teachers Pay Teachers or finding ideas on Pinterest, but I do think that it's important to allow for that openness and that creativity and putting yourselves out there, us as adults, and allowing for the risk-taking in kids, where you may not know what the final product is exactly going to look like, but you'll end up having a lot greater thinking. So those are my top 5 teacher tools for doing a STEM or STEAM activity.